Blake, 70s, elegant, but with a recent weariness in her eyes, stands alone amidst the bustling chaos of Nashville International Airport. Her purse is clutched tight against her chest. No suitcase. No boarding pass. Just a thin sweater and a crumpled, now meaningless itinerary. The noise of the airport swells around her. Boarding calls, rolling luggage, laughter in languages she no longer understands. People glance, then quickly look away. One woman's polite smile melts into pity when her eyes drop to the empty space where Blake's luggage should be. Just hours earlier, she believed she was on a family trip, a healing getaway, after her husband, Jake, passed away 2 months ago. 42 years married, buried on a rainy Monday. Her son, Mark, and daughter-in-law, Tonya, had insisted she come. "It'll be good for you, Mom. Get out of the house, stop crying all the time." She'd sold the last set of pearls Jake gave her, using the money to help with the flights. "It's a group effort," they'd smiled. "Everyone's pitching in." But Blake never saw a receipt. Never saw the return booking. She never questioned it, taught to trust family, even when they stopped treating her like one. At check-in, Tonya's mother had a priority tag. Tonya and Mark had first-class tickets. Blake assumed they'd all be sitting apart for boarding convenience. Tonya had promised they'd check on her after takeoff. But that was before the attendant scanned Blake's ticket, her eyebrows furrowed with a mixture of politeness and dread. "Attendant. Sorry, ma'am. It shows here there's no return trip under your name." Blake had smiled, a forced, brittle thing. There must be some mistake. When she turned, Mark and Tonya were already walking away. She followed them to the security line, still clutching her flimsy travel folder. That's when Tonya turned, sighed, and delivered the rehearsed lines. "Tonya. You know what, Mom? We only bought you a one-way ticket. The return trip? You'll figure it out." She said it like she was discussing the weather. Then, the kicker. "Tonya, so NT'd. You've got a phone. Call someone to come get you, or sell it. That'll cover a Greyhound, right?" Mark didn't correct her. He didn't even look Blake in the eye, just adjusted his sunglasses and kept walking. And just like that they were gone. Through the security checkpoint. Into the tunnel of airport gates and vacation selfies. Gone with every ounce of dignity Blake still had left in their eyes. She stood there, a discarded receipt. Too stunned to move. Too proud to sit. She didn't cry. Not yet. She just breathed, one shallow breath at a time. The last time she felt this kind of abandonment, she was 9, waiting for a father who never came back. Now, full circle. Only this time, she had raised the people who left her. The world didn't stop. A man with a baby stroller passed by. Teenagers in matching dance uniforms shouted. The sun hit the glass walls, hurting her eyes. She looked down at her phone, not for a message from Mark, he wouldn't dare, but to check it was still in her hand. It was the only thing left that said she existed. She thought about calling someone. Her sister passed years ago. Her friends had their own pains. She wouldn't hand them her humiliation. Instead, she took a deep breath, walked to the nearest bench, and sat down. Back straight, chin high. She might not have had a ticket home, but she had something else, tucked in her bra, right next to her heart, a small envelope. Inside, a business card for a lawyer. Jake's old friend, JR. He'd always said, "If you ever need anything, Blake, you come find me." And now she would. Because she might have been left with nothing, but that didn't mean she had nothing left to do. The weight of grief and false promises. Grief doesn't knock. It crashes through the front door and sits in your favorite chair. That's what it felt like when Jake passed. One moment, he was humming off-key in the kitchen, asking where she'd hidden the cinnamon. The next, he was slumped in the hallway, mug still warm in his hand. A massive stroke. Final. 42 years. Of routines and rituals, of fights that ended in quiet forgiveness, of shared looks across rooms. He died on a Tuesday, and it rained. Hours after they took him, Blake stood at the kitchen sink, watching droplets slide down the window, listening to the sound of everything being quieter than it had ever been. The days were a blur of casseroles and condolences. The funeral short. Jake never liked being the center of attention. If anyone cries at my funeral, make sure they bring a mop. Blake tried not to cry. She went home to the house they built. The bed felt too big. His slippers were still under the nightstand. Grief wasn't a thief, just a shadow polite enough to knock before stealing everything that mattered. Weeks crawled by. Some days, she didn't leave the house. She'd sit in Jake's favorite chair, trying to remember the exact way he laughed, his belly-deep chuckle that made his shoulders bounce. Trying to remember who she was before she became the widow. Then, one morning, Mark came by. His hug was light, distracted. Mark. Mom, I was talking to Tonya, and we think it'd be good for you to get away for a bit. Blake. Away. Mark. Yeah, just a short trip. Clear your head. We're thinking of taking the kids down to Florida for spring break. You should come. It could be nice. Tonya nodded beside him, all practiced sympathy. Tonya. Just to breathe a little. Change of scenery. Don't you think Jake would want that for you? It felt like someone opened a window. Blake hadn't been out of Tennessee in 5 years. The thought of sand between her toes, sun on her shoulders, not waking up to silence, it stirred something she thought was long gone. Blake. Are you sure? Tonya. Of course. Your family. Family. She clung to that word like a life raft. Later that week, Blake opened her jewelry box, untouched since the funeral. Nestled in the corner was the gold wedding band Jake had given her on their 10th anniversary. Not expensive, but real gold. He'd saved for months, surprised her on a Tuesday morning, sliding it onto her finger with a whisper. 10 more years, then 10 more after that. She wore it every day until he died. Now, she held its weight, its warmth. Then, she let it go. She walked to the small pawn shop down the street. The man behind the counter looked surprised. Man. You sure, ma'am? Blake. I'm sure. Even as her throat tightened. She used the money to pitch in for the trip. Tonya had mentioned everyone contributing, so Blake offered without being asked. It felt good to still be needed, included, more than just a photo in a frame. That night, she cried alone in her room, not just for Jake, but because for the first time in weeks, she felt something close to hope. She packed carefully. A small framed photo of Jake. Her softest sweater, the one he said made her look classy as hell. A beach towel she hadn't used in years. A paperback she'd been meaning to read. And before she zipped it shut, a folded tissue, just in case. She didn't know that by the time she reached the airport, all of it, the bag, the towel, the hope, would be gone. That the woman she was while packing would not be the same woman left standing alone at gate B22. She hadn't been invited out of love, or grief, or even pity. She had been included for convenience. For what she could give, not who she was. She saw that now. But back then, in those days between the funeral and the flight, she believed the story they told her, that she was still part of the family, still wanted.